Hello YouTube, my name is Saint the Hero, and today I have a question for all of my JJK viewers out there. What is Itadori Yuji's true ability or curse technique? We will be discussing the manga of Jujutsu Kaisen today, so if you are an anime only and you do not read the manga, this is your official spoiler warning. Please beware. Now, throughout the entirety of Jujutsu Kaisen, many fans have been waiting to see if Yuji will manifest the curse technique. Itadori Yuji has been called a terrible MC, a punch and kick merchant, and a side character in his own show. So, let's go through the facts that shows he is more than that he is more than just a punch and kick merchant, that he is not a side character in his own show, and that he might actually have a completely broken ability. So, we know that Jujutsu sorcerers are born with their innate curse techniques, and they manifest at a young age. For example, Megumi with the 10 Shadows technique, and Gojo with the Infinity and the 6 Eyes. Both those techniques manifested when both children were very young, and they are passed down through the family, like hereditarily. However, Yuji was not born a sorcerer, and therefore he did not have a chance to manifest his own technique. It was only when Yuji ingested Sukuna's finger that his body was awakened to cursed energy and the world of Jujutsu sorcery. So, let's talk cursed energy and Yuji. In chapter 12 of the manga, while explaining cursed energy to Yuji, Gojo reaffirms that techniques are innate from birth and that sorcerers are 80% talent. But, he also says to himself that eventually, Sukuna's technique will be engraved into Yuji's body. We can only take this as, after being Sukuna's vessel for a certain amount of time, Sukuna's curse technique, Cleave and Dismantle, will be engraved into Itadori's flesh, becoming his new hereditary technique. Now initially, when fighting, Yuji had poor cursed energy control, which resulted in the foe technique Divergent Fist. The Divergent Fist occurred because Yuji's own cursed energy couldn't keep up with his body and caused a second impact on all of his attacks after his physical body made contact. However, through more training and gaining more battle experience, he has gained much better cursed energy control and is now able to use the Divergent Fist at will whenever he wants. And after meeting Aoi Toho in the Kyoto Exchange arc, Toho advises Yuji to apply his cursed energy at the point of impact instead of coating his body with it at all times. This eliminates the Divergent Fist and enlightens Yuji to the technique Black Flash. Now, when a sorcerer is able to land a Black Flash, their ability to understand the essence of their own cursed energy is increased and they enter a state of concentration that athletes would describe as the zone. Now, while in the zone, Yuji was able to successfully land 4 consecutive Black Flashes, tying the record for most consecutive Black Flashes. And, in chapter 132, Mahito states that Yuji is so skilled, he would make you think that he's using it, which is Black Flash, at will. We have also seen that because Sukuna inhabits Yuji's body, Yuji has a subconscious understanding of the soul, allowing him to be the main foil to the normally inviolable Mahito. Normally, attacks with cursed energy would not damage Mahito, but because Yuji has an understanding of the soul, he is able to target Mahito's soul directly, albeit unconsciously, therefore making him Mahito's natural enemy. Now moving forward, there was speculation that Yuji was related to Choso, because during their duel in the Shibuya incident, Choso was able to sense Yuji's condition in the same way that he was with his brothers, Eso and Kechizu. And the initial theory was that Itadori possessed some type of memory altering ability, but that has since been debunked by the author. And in chapter 134, it is revealed that Choso's father is in fact Kenjaku, otherwise known as Noritoshi Kamo. Yuji's relation to both Choso and Kenjaku was confirmed in chapter 208, when Kenjaku drops a bombshell and confirms that he stole the body of Yuji's mother, Kaori Itadori, for her curse technique, which in the same chapter is also revealed to be a technique called anti-gravity system. This makes Kenjaku the first villain to take backshots for the sake of his master plan. Just remember that. Next, in chapter 220, Yuji is seen conversing with Rin Amai. When Rin asks, "Can you still fight? Sukuna isn't in you anymore." To which Itadori responds, Ieri says, I'm now like a cursed object steeped in Sukuna's cursed energy. Besides, I'd eat anything to kill that creep. Now, both sentences were important. The fact that Itadori is steeped in Sukuna's cursed energy, and the fact that he's willing to eat anything to kill that creep. Then, in chapter 222, we see a panel of Yuji training with Kusakabe, but it seems that they have swapped bodies, or maybe even souls, because we see Kusakabe saying master it already, Itadori, but in Yuji's body. We still have not had any extra information about what occurred here. And now, skipping forward just a bit to the current arc of the manga, which is Sukuna versus everybody, at the end of chapter 238, we see Yuji biting his wrists, with unnatural claws and what seems to be a bone-like formation going up his forearms. And in chapter 248, Sukuna confirms that Yuji has now learned reverse curse technique, and then adding to that, in the latest chapter, 250, we see that Yuji has the ability to aim his attacks directly at the barrier between Sukuna and Megumi's soul. So now let's summarize this information that we've gathered about Itadori, his skills, and his background. We know that in a very limited amount of time, Itadori has become a very exceptional sorcerer, comparable to a official grade 1 sorcerer, and I would argue a special grade, actually. We know that he has an excellent control over his own cursed energy, which is evidenced by his ability to pull out consecutive black flashes, and for his ability to master the Divergent Fist and give himself a double impact at will, and the fact that he has learned reverse curse technique, which is a very, very complicated technique that we've really only seen other special grades use. We also have the fact that Gojo said to himself that Sukuna's technique will eventually be engraved into Yuji's body. We also have the fact that Itadori is descended directly from Kenjaku or Nori Toshikamo, and we know that Itadori has a subconscious understanding of the soul and currently can directly target the soul on purpose. So now, with all of this information, we could possibly conclude that Yuji has access to any of these 6 techniques. The first being Sukuna's technique, which is cleave and dismantle, because Gojo stated that Itadori would one day gain it from it being engraved into his body, and Itadori said that he is steeped in Sukuna's cursed energy. He is like a cursed object that is steeped in Sukuna's cursed energy. The second option would be the Kamo family technique, blood manipulation. Due to Itadori being the son of Nori Toshikamo / Kenjaku, and we know that cursed techniques are hereditary, they are passed down from generation to generation, and Itadori being Kenjaku's son would make sense for him to inherit the Kamo family technique. The third option would be body swapping, because that is Kenjaku's ability. Now, we do not know where Kenjaku gained the ability to swap his brain into different bodies and steal curse techniques and memories and lives. But, again, Itadori is Kenjaku's son, so why can't he inherit Kenjaku's secret technique? The fourth option would be soul manipulation, similar to Mahito. Because Yuji's body housed both his own and Sukuna's soul, he gained the ability to sense the shape of the soul, and the ability to target the barrier between Sukuna and Megumi's souls intentionally. Also in chapter 220, Yuji is given a book by Choso, where Choso says it's the records of the soul research that Tsukumo left along with the back of the prison realm. So, who knows what else Yuji knows about the soul, or if that's his main technique now. The fourth option would be anti-gravity system, which doesn't beg much of an explanation. It was his mother's technique, the original technique of his mother's body, so it's possible that Yuji inherited that as well. Now, the final option is a wild card theory that I have that is highly unlikely. The theory that I had was that Yuji's ability was steal, or consume, or copy. Now, I know Yuta's technique is copy, and he can copy curse techniques by consuming the flesh of his target, but we don't know the limit to that, and my reasoning is that Itadori ate Sukuna's finger, and he said he'd eat anything to kill that creep. Also, in chapter 220, Choso was talking to Yuji, and Yuji apologizes and says, I'm sorry about your brothers, but Choso responds, that's okay too. they'll live on inside you. In my opinion, that statement can be taken one of two ways. Either the memory of Choso's brothers will live on in Yuji, or Yuji actually ate the remaining cursed womb paintings to gain their abilities or to strengthen his own abilities, so they will literally live on inside of him. Now, the two most likely candidates for Yuji's curse technique, I believe, are blood manipulation and cleave and dismantle. The runner-up would be soul manipulation, or that could be like an added-on ability and not necessarily a technique that Yuji possesses. I believe we can also speculate that Yuji is one of the few people that will be able to use multiple curse techniques, due to the circumstances surrounding his birth to Kenjaku and due to his time as Sukuna's vessel. The only people we have seen use multiple techniques in the series so far are Okotsu Yuta, Sukuna, and Kenjaku himself. Now we know that Yuta's curse technique is copy, and that he can store all of his extra techniques in Rika, instead of housing them in his own brain. We have also seen Sukuna use cleave and dismantle, and we have also seen him use the black box fire arrow, which hasn't been explained yet. And Kenjaku, of course, is able to retain every technique from every body he's stolen over the years. Now we know that Itadori was born to Kenjaku, and that he was most likely tampered with in the womb so that he would have the ability to be a vessel. We also know that Kenjaku has the ability to alter the brain so that those who initially were not born with the technique would be able to manifest one. That's what he did in the Culling games to get all of the new players. So naturally, one would speculate that he did more to Itadori than just making him a vessel, and that he altered his brain in some way as well to give him higher capabilities than a normal sorcerer. What would you think if Yuji was able to wield multiple curse techniques? What if he had both blood manipulation and cleave and dismantle? Or what if he has soul manipulation and cleave and dismantle, and he has the ability to cleave the soul directly without making physical contact? Itadori's strength is already off the charts on a physical level, and we know that he's very skilled in manipulating cursed energy, and that his ability to use Black Flash is super lethal. We also now know that he's extremely dangerous to Sukuna because of his ability to target Sukuna and Megumi's souls. What if you added two curse techniques on top of that? He'd be more than a punch and kick merchant, I'd say. But we just have to wait for our great and all-powerful author, Akutami, to confirm or deny for us. Now, if you made it to the end of this video, I would like to say thank you very much, and I appreciate your viewership. Consider liking the video and hitting the subscribe button to help my channel grow. My name is Saint the Hero, and I'll see you next time.